guys. Welcome back to Days of Darkness, and welcome to week 3 of my top 20 horror films of all time. That is right, you read the title correctly. We are in the top 10, so I'm not gonna waste any motherfucking time today, baby. We getting right the fuck into it. Let's go! Alright, we're kicking off the top 10 with Maniac. I fucking love this movie, dude. I love this movie so goddamn much. Obviously, it's in my top 10, so I'm gonna be speaking very highly of it. But, and this is I believe this is the first remake on the list. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive. And I think besides one other entry, it's the only remake on the list. And that's not me saying I'm some, remakes suck. No, I'm not like that, but when they suck, they fucking suck. But moving on. Obviously, this is a remake from the original Maniac. I like the original, okay. Like, it's a take it or leave it thing for me. I'm not, I obviously own it, but it's fine. It's nothing, it didn't blow me away or anything like that, but I enjoy it. Obviously, it's a fucking brutal movie at times. It's very bloody. But, I think this one beats it outright in pretty much any department. And that's saying a lot, because the original Maniac obviously is a lot of people hold that movie in high regard. Tom Savini doing the effects and all the other stuff that went into that movie. But to me, like, this one is just, first of all, the style. This movie is so fucking sleek, dude. It looks so good. We'll get into the red stuff in a second. Trust me. But the overall visual style of this movie, obviously you have the POV perspective that's, throughout 99% of the movie. But overall, dude, it's just such a fucking fantastic looking movie. It's shot amazingly. I think that POV style for a movie like this really, really works. I'm not always the biggest fan of POV in film, especially for 100% of the time, but when it's done right, it can be really effective, and I think this one does it perfectly. Elijah Wood's performance, obviously, is the big selling point for a lot of people. Dude's a horror icon, man. I know people love his Lord of the Rings stuff, and rightfully so. Those movies are fucking iconic, and he's a big reason for that. But to me, man, that dude's always going to be an icon in the world of horror, easily. Like, he's not super recently, because this movie came out 10 years ago now. Holy fuck. Anyways. But he's really, really been making waves in horror for a long time. And you can tell the guy really, really loves and cares about the genre as well. Anyone who goes on a talk show, like I can't remember who it was, but it was someone's talk show, and whoever goes onto a talk show and talks about Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness, is a fucking mark for horror, and I love it. I say that in the best way possible. But yeah, man, he's just, you can tell the guy really fucking loves it, and you can see it in his performances. In this, I just watched Come to Daddy a couple months ago, and that was fucking great. I loved that. People will, there's so much, blah, 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 I can't talk. There's so much other shit that he's done, I can't remember all of it. But what I'm trying to say is, behind the scenes, on screen, Elijah Wood's a fucking goat in the horror genre. Moving on. But no, and this movie, it has such a basic, not a basic premise, but it's pretty cut and dry. Guy goes crazy, little kid has mommy issues, grows up to be a fucking maniac. And this guy will go around and he kills women. He exclusively targets women. And what I think is so compelling about this movie is that he is not an intimidating looking person at all. I mean, it's Elijah Wood, and I love you, dude, but you're not a big tough guy, and I think he would admit that. But that's what makes that character so fucking scary. So, he'll go online and he knows how to charm people. And he's very cunning, and he's very smart. And he'll lure women, and he'll just fucking kill them. Or outright, he'll just be driving, and he'll just spot someone. He'll spot a woman that he really, and it's not a sexual thing, it's just he's enamored with them for some reason. and he's just like, he'll just stalk the shit out of them and eventually kill them. It's fucking terrifying, dude. It's so scary. And what he does after that, you know, he'll scalp them and he'll staple their scalp onto a fucking mannequin. It's like, oh my god. And that's where a lot of the style comes into it, because they'll seamlessly transition from the mannequins being mannequins with severed scalps stapled to their fucking heads, and they'll turn into bloody versions of the women that he killed. And that's how he sees them. It's so fucking interesting the way they do that in this movie. And, you know, we already talked about it a little bit with the scalpings and stuff, but the third and final thing that makes this movie so memorable, this movie's fucking brutal, dude. This movie is so fucking violent and just uneasing at times. It is so fucking gory. You know, it's not like over the top fucking Dead Alive level gore or anything like that. But when it goes there, man, it fucking goes there. Obviously, we have people being scalped. We have fucking at the end, the main villain, spoiler alert, is getting ripped apart by all the fucking mannequin ladies. You know, and it's such a fucking bloody, brutal, gory fucking movie. That's what I love about it, you know? I'm a fucking freak. I'm not a maniac, but I am a freak. But yeah, man, Maniac's just so fucking great. Easily recommend. Obviously, I think it goes without saying, I recommend you check out all these movies on the top 20 list, but yeah, dude, if you have some time to kill today, go watch Maniac. It's fucking phenomenal. Not a lot of people that I talk to have seen it. So, without further ado, moving on. Alright, now we have Dr. Sleep. This is a film that I just talked about for an hour on the channel. That video went a little longer than I anticipated. Try to keep it around the 30-40 minute mark. We know that doesn't always happen. So if you did check that review out, thank you. And I know I'm going to be going over some points that I already made, but hey, it's the top 20. What do you want from me? So here's the first thing, and this is probably the thing that I most admire about this movie. Obviously, The Shining is a fucking classic. And it may or may not be on this list at some point. To go headfirst into a project that is a direct sequel off of one of the greatest fucking films ever made. Not horror films ever made. And I strongly believe that. That's pressure, man. That is hard pressure. Speaking of from the perspective of someone who has attempted to make a movie before, it's fucking difficult. And that's with any film, with any budget. So to have that pressure of making a movie on its own, but you're also having to follow up, and there's so many fans of the book and fans of the film, and that's tremendous pressure. So to have a film like Dr. Sleep, which obviously, yes, this, much like The Shining, is based off of a novel written by Stephen King, and then they adjusted some stuff to follow up from The Shining movie, yada, yada, yada. We've been there. Which I'm thankful for, because I don't know how I'd feel about a Shining sequel that isn't based off of anything Stephen King wrote. Because whether you like it or not, because I know he has some controversial takes on the movie, if there's no Stephen King, there's no Shining. If there's no Stephen King, there's no Dr. Sleep. Point blank, period. That's it. But moving on. To have a film to the level that Dr. Sleep is, bravo. Like, already, you've done fucking fantastic. Because we've seen it multiple times of a property being resurrected, whether it be a remake or a sequel. It doesn't always live up to the hype, and a lot of times it can be very, very disappointing. And at least for me, man, you know, this one fucking knocked it out of the park for me, dude. I loved Dr. Sleep so much. I enjoy the fact that this film, obviously it's in the Shining universe, and it's a continuation of that story. But what it does so well is it tells its own story. And it's not hyper fixated on you know, what a lot of modern sequels to classics will do, Like, oh, do you remember this from the movie? Do you remember that from the movie? Do you remember this? Like, obviously, at the end, I know what people are already probably typing away. I know. Obviously, the third act has a shit ton of that. But I appreciate that they also focus on telling their own story. And they're not so focused on what happened in The Shining. Obviously, it plays a big role in it with the Danny character and yada yada. But I love the fact that we have new characters here. We have interesting characters. The villains in this movie, the Rose the Hat, and the entire Knot, they're just so fucking great as characters. Abra Stone is fucking fantastic as a character, and Danny, I think, has a really, really good continuation. And yeah, man, I really, really think the world of the story. We continue on from that. Visually, this movie is stunning. The Shining sequences, I'll call them Shining battles, I guess. I don't really know what to call them, between Rose the Hat and Abra, are all fucking fantastic looking visually. This movie's brutal as fuck in a lot of parts. It gets pretty hard to watch, which, means for me that, it goes up a couple notches because I'm a fucking weirdo. But yeah, man, I think this movie does a lot of stuff very, very well. I'm not gonna drone on too long. I just posted an hour-long review of this, so if you are interested and you have the time, I would much appreciate the support. But yeah, man, so moving right along, let's get into number 8. No, yeah, 8. I can count, I swear. All right, rolling right along with Friday the 13th, Part 4. The final chapter. Now, I know what a lot of you might be thinking. Alex, how the hell is this better than Dr. Sleep? Or how the hell is this better than Train to Busan? Or fucking Bone Tomahawk? All these extremely well-crafted, well-written, incredible films. Nostalgia, mostly. Like I said before, nostalgia is going to play a big role in this list. And that it's probably felt the most with this entry and where it's placed in the list. Friday the 13th, when I first got into horror, that was the big thing. Obviously, The Predator kind of made me lean into it a little more. If you really want to get into the roots of why I love horror, that can all be traced back to The Undertaker, being a little WWF kid. Always in the dark material, Batman, and then, the first real horror thing I ever got into was Predator, but, it's more of a sci-fi horror thing, which doesn't discredit it by any means. But as far as true blue, pure blood, raw fucking horror, it's this guy. All fucking day, dude. Just wrinkled the shit out of my shirt. But anyways, nah, dude, Friday the 13th means so fucking much to me. It's the first true horror franchise I really got into. My mom rented, I think she rented like the first 2 for me. And I was like, where the fuck's the hockey mask? I want the hockey mask. So, rented 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, and I loved all of those. And then we got into 7 and 8 and 9. But anyways, but nah, man, I fucking love Friday the 13th, and I laid them all out when I made this ranking. And my rule was, I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I am not allowing more than one franchise entry in this. So there's no multiple Friday the 13th. There's no multiple Nightmare on Elm Streets. Nothing like that. So I laid them all out, and it was an easy decision, especially since I had, ranked them previously on the channel. But even before that, I remember when I first watched, the final chapter, that I was like, oh yeah, this is my favorite. Easily. Like, to me, my personal Friday the 13th series, when I watch them, it ends with 6. That's all I want to see. I don't want to see 7 and 8. I don't want it. It stops with 6 for me. That being said, part 4, there's just so much I don't know. To me, it does everything that a Friday the 13th film needs to do, and it executes it all so well. And it's the best that any of those tropes have ever been executed. You know, you look at the teenage characters, you look at, you know, the cannon fodder and the shallow, pointless characters that are just there to be killed. But they're not that. To me, I don't think. I don't think they're that at all. What I see are characters that were given at least something. They were all given some little tidbit, you know, of information. You got a guy who just you got a guy who just broke up with his girlfriend, and he's like, oh, I need to have sex. Oh my god, like I can't get it out of my head. Is it stupid? Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Of course it is. But it's fucking Friday the 13th, and it's fun, and it's silly. And, you know, that character's given motivation. And, you know, his buddy's calling him a dead fuck, and they're in the back of the car, and he pulls out this fucking typewriter, and he's such a ladies' man, and he's an expert with the ladies, and, you know, his buddy ends up getting laid, and he doesn't. And he's, like, all fucking pissed off about it, and he gets stoned and just fucking watches, like, old 1920s porno on a fucking projector. Yes, I'm still talking about Friday the 13th. This movie's fucking bonkers, dude, but that's why I love it. You know, you get the Doublemint twins in here, which is a cool little element. You know, having, again, that same ladies' man go up and try and hit on both of them. Like, he strikes out with one, and then just blatantly goes up to the other one, tries to hit on her, and neither of them are having it. They're fucking great. Like, and I can go on and on about the characters all day. All of the characters have something to do in this movie. You know, are they the most in-depth characters in the world? Fuck no. But at least it's something. You know, and I say that in the best way possible. Not only do you have those teenage characters, but you also have the Jarvis family, which adds a whole nother element and a whole nother layer. You know, these kids are partying in a house right next to the Jarvis family house, and it's such a pure, like not a pure family environment, but it's just, you know what I mean? It's just such a nice, wholesome, you know, mom raising her two kids by herself. You never really get any information about the dad, but whatever. And yeah, dude, it's such a nice little fucking peaceful environment for this, like, little kid to be growing up in. So when shit starts hitting the fan with Jason, there's more weight to it. There's more, you know, consequence. And when people start dying, you feel it a little more. You know, obviously, with the teenage characters, again, they're not the most meaningful characters in the world. But there's still something to that. There's a little bit of weight to it when they're killed off. Because you're like, oh, I thought he was funny. Or, oh, I thought she was, you know, adorable. Or whatever, you know? But then we get to, you know, the Jarvis family. When the mom gets killed off, it has some fucking weight to it. And you're like, holy shit. You know? One thing this film kind of strikes out on is I wish her death would have been a little more memorable. But that's just me. But yeah, man, you have all that stuff going for you in the character department. You know, we obviously have that cool, nice summer setting on Crystal Lake. And you have all that going for you. And we haven't even talked about Jason yet. Jason is the best he has ever been in this movie. I'm saying it right now. I think Ted White is the best Jason Voorhees of all time. And that is all love and all respect to Kane Hodder. Anyone who is willing to go through the punishment that dude went through playing the role of Jason Voorhees, all props to you, man. No shade thrown whatsoever. I think Kane Hodder is fucking terrific. And yeah, man. But to me, dude, Ted White is just fucking scary. I like that he's not like a robot. You know, he brings a big human element to Jason. And he's just a entertaining, scary, grumpy motherfucker in this movie. And, you know, you feel it when these characters get killed off. There's something about his performance that's so fucking great. You know, I could go on and on all day about this. Obviously, you know, the ending with little Tommy Jarvis hacking the shit out of Jason with a machete and, you know, killing Jason. Jason was fucking killed in this movie. Like, outright, definitively killed. Obviously, he was Frankensteined and brought back in part 6. But, yeah, dude, Tommy Jarvis outsmarted Jason Voorhees and fucking killed him, which made a big impact on the rest of the series. Until part 7, where they just fucking forgot about all of it for some stupid reason. But made a huge impact in the series, man. This movie just does everything right, dude. It's fucking brutal. The kills are incredible. And yeah, dude, all the other good shit I just mentioned. I know I've been talking about this one for a little bit, man. So let's go ahead and get into the next one. All right, rolling right along, we have Hellraiser. Dude, oh man, I reviewed this movie all the way back in the dark days era of this channel. And previous to that, I had only watched it one other time as a little kid. And seeing this movie as an adult and being able to appreciate it, and I don't know if that's fully communicated in that very early movie review, which I don't even think I was editing back then. I was just stop, or like start recording, stop recording, there we go. Very, very amateur YouTubing. Not to say I'm the most high-tech guy now, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, man, being able to watch this movie as an adult and being able to really appreciate it for what it is, I fucking love this movie. This one just hits on all cylinders for me. It is brutal and bloody as fuck, which, like I've said multiple times, it's a big plus for me. But, you know, this movie came out in an era where, you know, I think a lot of people thought of horror as, oh, guy runs around in the woods and kills people with a fucking machete and yada, 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 and that's it. Which, not dogging on that premise whatsoever, obviously, given the previous entry. But to me, man, Hellraiser was so unique and so just different in the best way possible. And yes, it is bloody and gory as all living shit, and I adore it for that reason. But the biggest thing this movie has going for me is the characters. This tells the story of a woman who is married to a father, and they're moving into this house where, you know, the guy's brother used to live, and he, you know, as we see in the beginning of the movie, he, you know, opens the puzzle box and gets ripped apart by the Cenobites because he is a very, very troubled man. He has a lot of vices. He is a very sexual person in nature, which nothing wrong with that to me. But, you know, Cenobites take a little umbrage to that, I think. But yeah, man, so they rip him apart. You know, he's a big partier and he's known to, like, disappear on people. So they move into his house because they just figured, okay, he's dead or he's in prison. Well, he's dead and he's in hell. But what happens is, you know, and we discover that this woman who married the father of this girl, yada yada, she had an affair with that guy. You know, she cheated on him and, you know, doing all that partying and all that fucking and all that debauchery that this guy participated in before he died. You know, you get kind of good at it. And she was like, and it's the best sex she had ever had. And seeing that lust and that desire really carry and she ends up being the main antagonist of the movie. Seeing that lust and that drive just to fuck them again. It's so, like, you would think, like, okay, that's kind of weird, but dude, humans are very, very animalistic. I think we're a lot more animalistic than people would like to think. And this movie capitalizes on that so well, because she goes to just ridiculous lengths once she discovers she has the opportunity to bring him back from hell. And, you know, he's escaped the Cenobites, and he's able to, once the brother spills some blood on the floorboard, and he starts coming out, and at first he's just a bundle of, like, he's just a brain and a bundle of nerves, and he's just kind of, like, crawling around and shit. And the more she kills for him and the more blood he is able to consume, the more flesh he gets back. And so she's like, okay, if I can get him back, we can run off together and just fuck forever. It's, I guess, what she's thinking. And, you know, like I said, to some people that might seem like a pretty cartoonish motivation. It's really not. And a lot of people who are very weak in certain regards, it's not all that unrealistic. Obviously, you have to be a little bit psychotic to go to the lengths that she goes to, but are we really going to act like that's all that unrealistic? I don't think so. But yeah, man. And she goes to some fucking crazy lengths. She's killing dudes, and he's fucking devouring their flesh to become more whole. Meanwhile, the Cenobites are out on the fucking hunt, and they are looking for this fucking guy. And the Cenobites themselves, obviously Pinhead is like the main iconic villain of the movie. He's really not in the movie all that much. None of the Cenobites are, but when they are there, holy shit, they are fucking scary. And it's very clear Pinhead is the ringleader for them. Like, that's pretty clear. Even though he's not like, I don't think there was any real intention for him to be like the iconic character from this movie. Obviously later on he very much so is. But in this one he's a hunter basically, and he's looking for this guy because he escaped hell and nobody escapes hell, and so they want to bring him back. And it's just such a fucking awesome story. And you know, the final girl Christy is really cool. Obviously the daughter of the dad that the chick married, and there's some tension there, and that's obviously expanded upon when she starts, you know, killing dudes and trying to get her old lover back. And this movie, it's a very human tale, which I don't think people would expect that, talking about, you know, Cenobites that are coming from the gates of hell and they're ripping apart people with chains, which is in this movie very prominently. But dude, this movie just, there's something about it that's so engaging, and it's hard for me to explain in less than 10 minutes. But yeah, man, this film just fucking rules, and I highly, highly encourage everyone go out and see it. And yeah, I'm in danger of rambling, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. Let's get it. Number 6. All right, baby. We have number 6. That is right. The last entry for this video. Next time we got the top 5, but for right now, dude, we have to talk about fucking Alien. You know, people will always debate with themselves and with each other which is better, Alien or Aliens. Take nothing away from Aliens, dude. Nothing away from Aliens. I think that movie's a fucking masterpiece. I adore that movie. But to me, man, I'm a horror hound, and Alien is much more horror than Aliens is, so it's gonna beat it out for me. Again, that is not knocking Aliens whatsoever, but let's talk about the actual entry, and that is Alien. First of all, I mentioned before how sci-fi horror kind of got me to lean into the genre more. And, you know, the Predator series is attributed to that. The Alien series is just as guilty. To me, this is the perfect blend of sci-fi horror. Or of sci-fi and horror, I should say. To me, there is only one other movie that has ever done sci-fi horror better than this one, and we will get into that. I don't think you have to be a brain surgeon to figure out what that is. But we'll talk about that next time. But to me, man, Alien is just so fucking good at being a sci-fi movie and being a horror movie, and just balancing those subgenres or those genres so well. It's the perfect blend. By far. I think the setting in this movie, you know, just this, I guess it's called not a subtitle. I've never been good at naming this. It's like, you know, it's the slogan of the movie or whatever, but, you know, in space, nobody can hear you scream. if someone wants to comment of what the actual verbiage for that, please do. But just that saying, in space, no one can hear you scream. The setting of this movie is so fucking rad. Obviously, the alien itself is terrifying, and we'll get all into that. But it's the knowledge of not only is this unstoppable beast chasing down and devouring and killing these people, you are in the middle of space, deep space. No one is coming for you. No one. Not a single soul even knows what's happening right now. To me, that is just as fucking terrifying as the alien itself, is knowing, yeah, there's no one coming for you, dude. You're fucked. You're done. That's terrifying. And, I know we got other alien movies where it's on Earth and shit. Obviously, AVPR, we'll get into that at some point. But to me, that's not the point of the alien. And it kind of dilutes the character a little bit, to me. I just think the setting in this is so fucking great. The ship itself, obviously being so dingy and dirty and fucking just rotten. It's such a great... I mean, it's a working ship. I might have sold it a little hard, but... I love the idea of just these common men, these workers, and they're doing their jobs, and this fucking unexplainable evil just literally... just pounces on a guy's face and bursts out of his chest, and now these people have to deal with this unimaginable fucking monster. And the alien itself, the xenomorph, when I reviewed Alien, I might have kind of muddied around a little bit with this. I'm not going to do that here because I've officially decided this is the best movie monster of all time. No doubt. To me, personally. The look of the alien, just that long spiked tail, the unnatural looking, head. It's very, very unsettling, and in some shots in this movie, it's very fluorescent. You can kind of see, what looks like a skeleton underneath. Not a big fan of that, but I think it is pretty fucking cool at the same time. I don't know. I prefer just an all-black xenomorph head, personally, but I still love the look of it in the original, no doubt. But overall, man, and obviously the mouth inside of the mouth is just such a unique take. To me, dude, it's the best creature design of all time. And then the actual concept behind the alien, getting the face hugger, and that thing is fucking terrifying in and of itself. It's a completely separate creature, but it latches onto you, and then you wake up. You wake up and the thing dies, and you're like, okay, I'm good. And then the actual monster rips itself out of your chest. That's such a terrifying way to die. It's so invasive. It's, I know a lot of people have kind of analyzed it and said how, the face hugger, it's, there are elements of the face hugger that are very phallic in nature, which I can absolutely agree with. And it's just very, very unsettling, which makes it all the better, seeing that egg fucking open up, and any horror fan knows, you're just like, oh, fuck. This ain't good. But yeah, man, the actual concept behind the creature is amazing. The film itself is beautiful. There are certain shots in this film that still take my breath away, and it's hard for me sometimes to remember that this film was made when it was made. I look at it as a modern fucking film because and that's not to say that films now are any better than they were back then, but you know what I mean. It's just visually, it's such a stunning movie. I think the world of this one, man. Just barely got knocked out of my top 5. We will get into the top 5 next week on Days of Darkness. But for right now, man, all hail Alien. All hail the other entries on this list so far. Really looking forward to getting into the top 5 with you guys. Thank you, as always, for sticking around throughout the video. Thank you for supporting the dream and supporting the channel. And yeah, man, just take care of each other and keep watching horror. And I'll see you guys next week. All right. Have a good one.